We're now moving ahead. I believe it's correct time to take a look at media capture and delivery via Opencast, and we're going to be hearing from Greg Logan. Greg Logan has been involved with Opencast for 10 years, starting in the early days as a student developer, and now working full-time directly for the project. He manages the day-to-day project infrastructure tasks, as well as leading developer meetings and reviewing a lot of code. He is very familiar with the ins and outs of Opencast's code base and is always happy to chat with folks interested in video and education. So Greg, take it away.
Good morning, everyone. I'm just going to get my screen sorted out here. Find the right window. You are sharing this screen. Okay, I'm assuming you can see my meeting, so I'm going to flip to my slides. And hopefully this works, because I did not actually get a chance to test this with real people. If for some reason you are not seeing my slides, could one of the moderators please pipe up and we can poke at this. So I'm here today to talk to you about Opencast. We are a scalable video content management and processing system engine type thing. And that will become more clear about what that actually means in a second here. So who am I? As our moderator said, my name is Greg Logan. I am the Opencast QA coordinator. I've been involved in the project for about 11 years now. The project started, I think, roughly about 12 years. So I have been involved since very early in the project. I started as a capture agent developer, which is the device that goes in your classroom and records things. And I am now much more into the core, working with the whole code base, but much more into the code that runs the core, the stuff that's going to run on your servers. I'm also a consultant for myself. I run my own consulting company. My major contract is with the Opencast project, managing the QA stuff, but I am not directly affiliated with any given institution, which kind of changes the power dynamic, because I don't have a production install. I'm sort of doing this out of an interest in the project more than because I need it to be running. That was the wrong button. Okay. I'm just, as a heads up here, I cannot see your questions. Actually, I wonder if I can do, betcha that's not going to work. That's not going to work, is it? All right, let's go back here.
Greg, I'll be fielding the questions. If you'd like to be interrupted, I can do that, or hold them to the end.
That would be great, yeah. Just so that I can answer them in line. Sometimes I tend to brain dump and then we get to the end and people are very confused.
Everyone asks your questions as he goes along. I'll be
for sure. Okay. All right, so what is Opencast? As I said, it's a distributed video content management and processing, and I see I missed a word at the end there, system. Basically, we take input video and do something useful with it and make it available via some output method. The majority of our adopters use an internal publication method, so Opencast has a media module, we call it, that makes the recordings available to students, or I'm going to use the metaphor of students and professors here, but we know that there are people who are not higher ed using Opencast. So if that doesn't match what you're thinking of, don't worry about that. It should still work, right? Just because I say student and professor doesn't mean you have to use it that way. So with the media module makes things available to students. We can also use that media module via LTI, so you can embed your content into your lecture content management systems like Sakai. And we'll see that in a couple of minutes here. You can also do things like publish directly to YouTube, publish via OAI PMH, and publish via things like CDNs, so specifically AWS CloudFront, but I'm pretty sure that just about any other cloud, CDN rather, would work just fine. We have an adopter who is using CloudFront, so we know that that one works. Opencast takes your content, uses your workflows and your choices. You can add pre and post roll trailers. There's a basic editing tool built into the admin UI. We automatically detect slide segments in the video and capture a screenshot of those so that you're not having your faculty uploading their slides. They don't have to do that. There's just a recording, a video of their slides which means that if they're using, for example, a symposium and they're marking up their slides, that's actually captured. You're not losing that data. We can also do audio normalization. And because, of course, we're open source, you can add your own cool tricks. One of our adopters, for instance, has built a plugin where if you display a QR code, it makes a cut to the video, stops recording, and then once that QR code disappears from the slides, it starts recording again. So they use this in practical labs where there is patient data being discussed, like a nursing lab, for example. Patient data being discussed, and that cannot be recorded. It just can't be. So they put the thing up, the class continues as normal, has its discussion, the QR code goes away, and all of a sudden it starts recording again. So there's very little, like the faculty doesn't have to remember to push a button or go to a website and stop the recording, things like that. And it also eliminates things like, oh, I forgot to start the recording again, which does happen from time to time. Opencast can, excuse me, Opencast can run on premises or in the cloud. So Manchester, this is the organization with the QR codes, has 300 plus rooms automatically capturing. And I believe their staff is, I think, 5 people. So, I mean, this Opencast can scale pretty easily. Harvard DCE is running also another large install entirely in AWS. If you are interested in what that looks like, come to Karen's talk on Thursday. She's talking about some part of DCE's configuration. I'm not entirely sure what. Opencast runs on community. Sorry, I've got a really bad frog. There we go. Opencast runs on commodity hardware and software. We're written in Java, currently Java 8, supporting Java 11 soon. We're packaged for Docker, Debian, and Red Hat-based distributions. That's not to say that it won't work for other installs, just that those are sort of the tested versions that we actually test against. Because we're written in Java and use Maven, I mean, it should work just about anywhere. Operations that you want run are distributed internally across the available hardware. If you need faster processing, generally it's best to just throw more hardware at it, but there are some of our users who are experimenting with things like GPU encodes. So if you have a GPU available and want to speed up your encodes, you could test with things like that. Capture agents, and these are the things that go in your classroom to record stuff, whether that be workshops or lectures or whatever, can be purchased or they can be built. We've got multiple vendors involved. Galacaster, which is a group that actually started not really as an Opencast project, but like as an adjunct to Opencast, and it has since turned into sort of their own business. There's Extron. I'm sure everyone knows about Extron. Ncast. I'm sure I'm missing names. Just because I haven't included them here does not mean that they're not quality or anything like that. It's just that I don't want to go through all of the different vendors.
So Greg,
you can also,
we have a question.
Sure.
Are there any Opencast installs that have publicly available videos via OAI PMH video-based OER? That's from Chris Beach.
Publicly, I do not believe so. OAI PMH was added for, I believe, Switch, which is the national NRAN for Switzerland, and is also in use by Manchester. But as far as I know, neither of those are public. That's not to say that they can't be made public if you need to, for example, take a look at this for evaluation purposes. If you would like to see if I can get you access, please email me or tweet at me or something, or hop on the users list. In general, the community is very open and very willing to help people. So if that seems like something that you're actually interested in, want to see what it looks like, by all means get in touch and we can see what we can set up. I personally don't run anything with OAI PMH, so I can't really help you there, unfortunately. But I can put you in touch with people who can. Any other questions right now?
No, not right now.
Okay. All right, so you can also build capture agents out of software and some COTS hardware or IP cameras or NDI. There's the Galacaster project, which is a software-based system. You can buy licenses for Galacaster. You can use a free version of Galacaster, which has just a few features turned off, or you can buy hardware via Galacaster, which gets you the Pro license and all of the features and bells and whistles. You can also use PyCA, which is an implementation of the capture agent written in Python that runs, well, it was originally designed to run on a Raspberry Pi as a backup capture agent and has since sort of taken on a life of its own. So it's very easy to get into, very easy and very low cost, can be very low cost, doesn't have to be, but it can be very low cost to get into the capture agent space in Opencast. So Opencast is also easy to integrate. Obviously, the end results can come out via LTI. They can also come out via OAI PMH or YouTube or whatever. We also have our own, we call it the external API. It would be what you would call the API as somebody who's outside of Opencast. It's relatively stable. It's being upgraded. We're working on it. So if there's something that you want added to it, this is the kind of thing where a pull request definitely goes a long way. Opencast is extensible and has a very vibrant community. As a board, I'm a member of the board. We're estimating about 300 plus institutions all over the world. There's a map there. It's quite impressive. We're running a crowdfunding call right now, and this is the third crowdfunding call, and the past ones have been funded. So I'm looking forward to seeing what the results of the current one are. That's for sure. There's also add-ons, which are sort of adjunct tools. LectureSight is a object tracking system that uses 2 cameras to aim your PTZ camera so that it's locked into the faculty member and not like the whole general board. Peekaboo, which is a confidence monitoring tool. This is something that Manchester uses to monitor their 300 capture agents. So like on the hour when 300 of them start up all at once, you get 300 little images showing, yes, these are actually working. There's an annotation tool for, I believe, annotating video. This is a fairly new one I'm not all that familiar with. And then Opencast Studio, which I'll show you in a second and might make this presentation make a little bit more sense. We also have a number of vendors and consultants, Elan EV, which is a company out of Germany, my company, Logan IT, and Teltech, who develops Galacaster, among other things. I believe they also host Opencast as a cloud, although I'm not sure about that. Don't quote me on it. Developers, we are an active developer core. We've met weekly since the beginning of the project. 4+ countries currently. It used to be 6, 8, something like that, with 6+ committer organizations. We also have a mentorship program. So if you have a developer who's really wanting to become an Opencast developer, get in touch because we're definitely open to new committers. The project is actively releasing new versions. We have 2 major versions per year. This year it's slipped because of COVID. The development slowed right down because all of us that were working on the code were suddenly pulled off on our own institutional things. But normally we release 2 major feature versions a year. There's been 13 minor releases in the last year in 3 major branches that are just bug fixes, things like that. They are drop-in compatible. Major versions, there's typically a little bit of a change. There might be some downtime, but usually it's not too bad. We're also doing webinars for those who want to learn more about the ins and outs of Opencast. These sort of started since COVID-19 really hit. There's 6 already available. There's 2 more currently planned. And I don't really foresee them stopping because I think I have a list of like 60 subjects and we've done 6 of them so far. So there's a ways to go here. I'm looking forward to doing them because they turn out to be a lot of fun. So this is all well and good. I mean, I can just blather on for an hour if you want, but let's go do a demo. And hopefully this doesn't flame out horribly. So here's what the UI looks like. I'm assuming everybody can see this is the admin UI. And how am I for time here? I've got about 6 minutes. Okay. So each of these recordings, each of these lines here is a recording. They can be organized into series. This is typically in an educational institution. The series is your class, your computers 100. And then there are N events inside of that class, and those are the individual recordings. There is an editing tool. Let's see if this works. Click. So this is that basic editing tool that I was talking about. This is a development install that University of Cape Town, my apologies, set up for me. So the videos may not be entirely working 100%. But this we have the ability to trim out individual components here. So this piece here has been trimmed out, and this section here, and this section here. So we have the source media, which is the full uncut version, and then the end user sees just the blue pieces, the cut out sections. And then there are different workflows. So for example, Cape Town has multiple audio. Some of them have stereo. That kind of thing is just supported out of the box. And your average user is never going to see this. This is your administrator or your faculty member can be given a view of this that's restricted exclusively to their events. But this is sort of, I believe I am a global admin of this install. What your end user is going to see is something like this. So those of you who are Sakai people probably recognize this. This is Vula, the Sakai instance at Cape Town. I don't really know Sakai all that well, so I'm just going to click on the things that I know how work properly. So I'm going to go to the Opencast site, go to my lessons, and then this is a video by Bloom Eternal.
Greg, the Vola team has said you can also embed individual recordings in Sakai lessons through content item. And Alan Regan comments, yes, but it's a bit small, just so there's, there's chatter going on.
Okay, perfect, thank you. Yeah, so I mean, this is the wonderful thing about LTI. Opencast's player, what you're looking at here is Theodul, which was developed by Elan. And I'm not going to go through the features of the player because, I mean, it's just a video player. It's nothing hugely different than what you're familiar with from any other video player. But you can embed Theodul or the new player, which is called Paella, via LTI, via OAI PMH, all kinds of different things to wherever you need. Opencast doesn't really care where it goes as long as it's useful. You can also use Opencast to export these videos. Like right now, what we're watching is a video that's more or less meant for our players. You definitely could set it up to export a video that is meant for download. So something that's significantly smaller, significantly lower quality, or significantly higher quality, for example. Right now, we're looking at 720p. We could, in theory, deliver here at 1080p. I'm not going to do that because I'm on Wi-Fi, but the Harvard install, I believe, delivers in multiple bit rates and streaming at the same time. So it will step up and down as needed. So there's all kinds of flexibility with Opencast. And the nice thing is because we are open source, you can, if you need something, you can either pay somebody to develop it or you can develop it yourself and contribute it to Opencast and we will take over the maintenance. So this is a different, so this is StudIP. This is out of Osnabrück in Germany, and they have, oh, I wonder if the system is rebooting because that thumbnail's not loading. Yeah, so this is also an LTI link. Hopefully it works. And it's opening up, oh, okay, also in Theodul. This is more what the player would look like in a full screen view. Okay, this is our old demo media. This is actually me in the white shirt in the corner here, and Chris Brooks, one of our previous product owners. And yeah, that's sort of what we have. I think we've got a very stable system. It scales very well, and we have a lot of people who are very interested in doing things at scale. I knew I was forgetting something. That's what I'm trying to remember. I've got a couple more minutes here. So this is all well and good, right? It sounds great as long as COVID isn't happening because nobody can go to their classrooms right now, right? How do you get your faculty member to ingest things to Opencast? How does that work? That's crazy, right? Well, Osnabrück Elan developed something called Opencast Studio from a tool that was originally developed at Cape Town called, I believe, Ghetto Studio. And this is, and hopefully this works. I have no idea what's going to happen if I try and capture my own screen again. Nested saves. There we go. Okay, so this is a very light, thin and light client to record videos. So you can go right now to studio.opencast.org, and you will see probably an updated version of this. I believe this might be a few versions out of date. But the gist of it is that you don't need, as long as you've got a webcam and some kind of microphone, your faculty member can just go to go to studio.opencast.org, or more likely go to your Opencast install and have this tool, and they can make their recording, and then they hit stop, 30 seconds of recording. They can review it. If they're not happy, they can start over, do it again. If they are happy, they can ingest it. So my test recording, Greg Logan. And if they really want to, they can download the source video. And this is the cool thing. When it says download recording, what that actually means is save it from the browser's cache to your local disk. At this point, nothing has been sent to a server anywhere aside from the requests for the studio, the files that are actually in use to render this. But until I hit upload, nothing has been sent to the server, which means it's incredibly scalable. This is not a large application that I've downloaded. So all of your faculty members can use this at once. And as long as they don't all hit upload at the same time, you will probably be fine. Chances are, if you're on a campus network, you'll probably be fine anyway.
So Greg, we've reached the end of your time. Do you have a concluding statement?
Nope, that was going to be my conclusion. That is my demo. I am happy to answer questions here. I'm also happy if you want to talk on IRC or Slack or the users or developers list. We also meet weekly Tuesdays at 1300 UTC in a big blue button meeting room for our technical meeting. And thank you all for coming. Thank you for listening. And I hope this was useful. Any questions?
They'll have to be posted to you on social media.
That's fair.
Thank you very much, Greg. We now have a
Thank you.
reflection time from Ian Dolphin. Ian Dolphin is Executive Director of the Apereo Foundation and has been involved with open source software in higher education for almost 20 years. He is former head of e-strategy at the University of Hull in the UK and worked for the JISC for 2 years. Ian, are you there?
I am here, Janice. Thank you very much. So this is we're coming to the end of the first morning session where you get an overview of Apereo projects. You've seen about half of them, the projects that relate to what we've described as the communication, scheduling, authentication, media capture, back end. And what we really wanted to do in this time is just give you the opportunity to make comments, anything that struck you so far, any points in common, and a little bit of space to have a breather before we go on to our last session at 2 p.m. Eastern.